If you don't ask, you never know.
Exactly.
I think deadlines are like my biggest fear.
It's like the psychological way of how our brain change, how our behavior is better.
All right, who are you and what do you do and where are you from?
So my name is Soraya. I'm 32 years old. I am French. I am a freelance web writer.
I'm from China. Now I'm living in Bali for 9 months so far. I do online teaching with Chinese clients, people who want to immigrate to English-speaking country. They come to me to improve their speaking skill in English. And also I host different language workshop around Bali and different co-working space.
My name is Boris, so I'm a civil engineer with a specialty in geotechnical and earthquake engineering.
Freelance web writer. You're the first freelance web writer that we meet here. So how does that work?
So basically I write articles for, it can be businesses, magazines, newspaper. I write content, whether it's for, increased visibilities of the website or, so it's really wide. Go from an interview of a successful entrepreneur or writing, studies about a society topic. It's, journalistic content basically. I studied journalism and I actually started looking for freelance job when I was still studying, and then the business kind of started growing on its own.
I've been teaching language for 8 years, so I look deep into the psychological way of how our brain change, how our behavior is better for a healthy way of language learning.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, because I love English personally, so I want to share my joy of speaking my second language with other people, that telling them English is not their trauma, which for most of Chinese students it is. Adults learner will come to me like, I hate English in classroom.
Were you like an English teacher in China before, or how did you get started with this?
Right. I was working in like 2 different the training center about teaching English to adults, for all the adults, and I find it so much joyful to learn English because I teach them in different way. So it's more about learning all subjects with English than just the language itself.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see how they act on this language learning, and I learn their expertise and their opinion when they learn new things. So we learn from each other.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I find it very interesting that programmers, they always learn new language very effectively because they know about computer language and they only have limited vocabulary, but they always know how to maximize what they know and express themselves in a very logical way.
At what point did you want to do it like remotely as a digital nomad, and how did you do that with your job?
So it was actually a really smooth process. I always wanted to travel. I knew I studied in Paris, which is a lovely city, but I just didn't picture myself working there and living there. And I always loved traveling. I've been traveling since I'm maybe 15, and I always had that goal. I guess the stars aligned, and it just kind of started working. So I didn't have to make any adjustments in my work.
Like, how was that transition for you?
Well, I mean, living abroad is always one of my bucket list. That living in China, we have this information wall that we cannot really use. YouTube or Instagram, we have our social media that you know of. So my job is to introduce this language as a door to introduce culture from different countries. So actually walking outside of China makes me connect more. So I come here, I actually feel more like home than I was in China.
Okay, wow. How did you ask your boss to be here in Bali?
I'm the only guy working remotely.
Okay.
I've worked with the same company for about 8-9 years now.
Okay.
Built a lot of trust. They know they can count on me and stuff. And eventually my wife, Cecilia, got fed up of living in Canada.
Okay.
So she was like, oh, we want to travel the world. And initially I thought, this is impossible with my kind of job. If you don't ask, you never know.
Exactly.
So I brought it up with some of, principals and the owner of the company, and they were very receptive. Honestly, kind of shocked me.
Yeah.
Because it's very old industry. So we came up with a plan how to delegate some of the project management duties, how to make this remote work.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome. It's been 2 years so far.
How did you find your clients, and was it a problem for them that you were traveling so much?
So it was never really a problem per se. So like I said, I started when I was studying. So I started through that online platform that put in contact freelancers with businesses.
Okay.
It was like this, for a student dedicated to students. So I started from there, and then the client wanted to work directly with me, and from then I think it was just word of mouth.
Okay.
It just started growing and growing. And then I think, about traveling from abroad, it was quite a smooth process because I was already, working remotely. But I did have to say, to my clients, okay, I'm going to work from Asia. There's going to be a bit of a time difference. Are you okay with that? Honestly, every client has been really supportive and understanding, and I think a lot of them are actually inspired and think that it's great. There were a few challenges, but that's, Mostly it went really fine. Yeah.
Amazing. And how do you deal with deadlines? I think in your niche, deadlines is a huge thing. Like, how does that work for you?
Yeah, I think deadlines are like my biggest fear. It's like my biggest challenge because I do have constant deadlines because obviously magazines have, I'm working right now on a magazine that has to be printed by the end of the week. So yeah, there is a lot of people involved and it's a really stressful process. So I don't know if I still already, found like the perfect way to deal with that. I think at the end you just have to, so you do it. Although I would say that from Bali, it makes it easier because I do have this a little bit of advance, from Europe. So I have a bit of a head start, I have like these 6 hours. I know, okay, I have to send this article in the morning, but I know I have all this extra time, to.
How do you find clients remotely? Because you're teaching Chinese people as well online. So how do they find you?
So I used to work in training center and teaching by myself for 8 years. So I have some network about the clients, people who want to learn English, about 300-400 of my previous learners that I teach in group class or sign up for our training center before. So that network keeps me engaging and posting about the language shop and the valuable language learning things that they want to learn. So I connect with them, and that's kind of my community that I interact with them. And I'm also trying to explore more on Chinese social media by posting some of my language learning opinions that people find it very useful because I have those workshops and people really love it. And it's very interactive, and also I train other teachers as the other part of my job so how to engage their students, how to come up with class activity. It's more about transferring learning a language into using this language, which is always the best way to learn a language, right? You need to use it.
Yeah, and I think especially for a lot of people from China, I feel like a lot of them want to become a digital nomad, but the first barrier is the language usually.
Right, yeah exactly. Yeah, so what's your question?
I didn't have one.
Yeah, I help a lot of those clients who maybe have kids to study in Britain, or the husband has a job in the other country, so they want to move abroad. But I find it very contradictory that they need to prepare for IELTS, but preparing for exam is not really helpful for their language skill. So I always tell them the best way to learn is exact the opposite way of preparing for language exam, because you need to limit yourself and immerse yourself into this environment that you're really passionate about and really enjoy, instead of counting how many hours of study I did today. Yeah.
That makes sense. So how do you do that time zone wise? Because you work for a Canadian company?
I'm originally from Bulgaria, but I immigrated to Canada in 2014 to do my master's degree. So I stayed after my master's. Met my wife, so I decided to stay longer in Canada. Yeah, you're right, the time zone difference can be horrendous. Okay. It's 16-hour time difference with Vancouver specifically. So I have to cater some of my meetings around that. And, sometimes you make sacrifices. I have meetings 1 a.m., 2 a.m. sometimes, 6 a.m. These are the worst, honestly, the late night. The early mornings are okay.
Okay. Yeah. Very random question, but I think you're the first person I'm going to ask this question to, but I think it's something that a lot of people are scared of. But how do you see yourself for your retirement? Because usually people that work for a company, they have a retirement that the company pays. How do you handle that?
That's a question that I actually don't ask myself a lot. I should probably. I guess the goal, the next step for me personally is to start some businesses that are going to give me this kind of passive income that are hopefully going to last until retirement and after that. So I think I do have, a retirement from being a freelancer in France. My company is based in France, so I have, some from that, which is not a lot. So I probably, but I guess so. That's kind of the plan. But also, hopefully build other source of income. Yeah.
From all places that you've been to, why did you choose Bali?
I've been to Singapore, Korea, America when I was in college for an exchange program. But I find Bali that this is the most diversified place I've ever seen. I've been to Thailand twice, but in Thailand, it's still close to China, so I think there's a lot of Chinese community there. I feel like I didn't leave China exactly. So in Bali, it's more diversified with people from other countries. And I find that a fact that digital nomad I met in here, they're all the best at their job. Cool. They have the top skill when they work in corporates. That's why they come here. So I get to meet a lot of intelligent people. People who become entrepreneurs, start their own business, is always because they have the solid skill of what they do. So that's why I love here. in working vibe, and they're so good, and we get to communicate, and they share their life wisdom with me. Just by having conversation is already rewarding for me. So that's why I love Bali. It's surprise everywhere.
And what made you choose from all places Bali? Because you've been traveling around, so why would you like, or do you now stay in Bali?
Bali, actually, for quite a few reasons. Initially, I was kind of hesitant to come to Bali because it seemed like, the mainstream place for nomads to go and want to be like the cool, people that don't do that. But eventually, it ticked too many boxes. So,
Okay, like what kind of boxes?
we want to learn surfing. It's right there, which is awesome. My wife's actually born in Jakarta.
No way.
So she immigrated to Canada when she was 3. And she wanted to connect to her roots. And she actually has a lot of cousins in Bali that we didn't know about.
No!
And we kind of discovered them as we came here, so that's pretty cool.
That's cool. That's
Just practicing her bahasa. I get to surf. There's a jiu-jitsu gym that's amazing right here, like super close by. And the network here is insane. Like, I've met so many amazing people, like especially at B-Work and around the area, just the quality of people is like pretty good.
Is there any other place that you would say that would rival Bali? Or
Enjoy my time in Bangkok quite a bit. I loved it. It was awesome.
Okay, interesting.
The air was a little bit cleaner. The vibe was chill. Thai people are amazing. So I love it. And there's so much to do in Bangkok.
Yeah, you will never get bored.
Yeah, you never get bored. But at the same time, the networking opportunity were not as good because everything's like condensed here.
Yeah.
Versus Bangkok, it's so spread out. It's a big city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good point. Yeah, you do save a lot of money by, I mean, it always, depend on how you travel, obviously, and what your needs are. But yeah, if you have a budget and you are, making the adjustments necessary, you can definitely live for way cheaper and save money and be really productive. And so, yeah, I think it's actually a really good way to save money, comparing especially to Europe. Yeah, for sure.
Could you maybe walk us through how a day in your life working here in Bali looks like?
My daily routine. I don't do a lot of outdoor sport because I grew up in a city and I'm not really good at sport. I usually get up pretty late. I hate getting up early. I hate people say self-discipline is about getting up early. Getting up early ruins my day. Like I feel sleepy and cranky all day. I get up at 9, 10 a.m. and I would make some coffee, doing some work at home, and then come to B-Work, talk to my friends, and in the afternoon maybe go out to meet friends for some afternoon snack. I love to sing with them, so usually I work in their backyard as co-working space, and then at night after like 9 p.m. I go out and sing like all about that bass and perfect. I was in the singing competition when I was in China, so I find it's one of my life passion as big as teaching English. Yeah, so at night I would have some drinks. Even in here, I do karaoke with friends and have some drinks here. And sometimes I just randomly meet someone on the day and then let's hang out at night. And then we just go out and have fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Ideally, waking up around 6:30, going to the gym, and then, I go to my favorite co-working space, which is B-Work. And yeah, I have this I try to do a really focused task in the morning, which for me is writing content, because I don't have any meetings, it's like night in France, so I do all this writing so I can really focus, and then I have usually a meeting in the afternoon, like late in the afternoon. So yeah, I spend all day here, and then sunset, social events, meeting with friends, and yeah, it's pretty balanced routine, I would say.
Sounds like a pretty beautiful life you have.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, routine kind of depends on where I am around the world because of the time zone. But since I got here in Bali, it's been trying to wake up as early as possible, like 7 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and I try to start work ASAP. Especially here at B-Work, if you want to snatch a monitor, you got to come early.
You got to go early.
So, and I need a big monitor to do my work more efficiently because I have like all of these Excel sheets and PDFs open, so I need to make sure that I have enough working space. So I usually start work pretty early, maybe attend some meetings in the morning. So essentially 7, 8 a.m. in Bali is about 4 or 5 p.m. in Vancouver, the previous day. So I try to schedule a lot of my meetings at the end of people's work days in Vancouver. So when I wake up, I can attend the meetings and proceed with my day. And I work for a few hours, go for lunch, maybe go do a workout to break the day, and then I continue in the evening.
So during the day you don't work, and then in the evening you start working again when they wake up?
Sometimes I work the whole day. And then I take a break for maybe jiu-jitsu or surfing in the evening, and then I continue late at night if I have more meetings.
How many hours do you work then every day, you think?
A lot sometimes. Sometimes I can get away with 6, 7 hours, but there's days that I work like 10, 12 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You think you would work 12 hours because you're here in Bali, or you think you would also do these hours when you would be in Canada?
I worked longer in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In Canada, I worked even longer.
Okay, so you're more efficient here.
I'm more efficient because there's no distractions. The problem that I faced when I was working in an office was my phone was ringing all the time. Clients would call me, contractors would call me, like 20, 30 calls a day, hundreds of emails, and then I have to do this like detailed design work. It just doesn't work. So I'd have to start my day at like 5 a.m. in the office. Yeah. So I have 3 hours before people would actually like start calling. So I got like 3 hours of undivided attention. But now, when I'm working, everyone's asleep or just chilling in the evening. So
I have to walk
it's
away. I feel you like every time one step further.
No, but like for real, when you don't have these kind of distractions, your work becomes more productive.
I can imagine. So you're winning time and you're in a better environment.
Yeah, honestly, like I think it's been working great so far.
Amazing. And you've been doing it for 2 years, so I think by now you have like it locked down.
Yeah, but this is like really dependent on you staying on top of your stuff and being conscientious.
That makes sense. And maybe my last question for the people watching, and maybe for the viewers maybe from China watching, what would be your number one tip to become a digital nomad besides learning English?
Well, if I'm telling the truth, that I think being working on your own, I work as a team. I do a lot of jobs. That's why I outsource it to my assisting teachers and by AI. I work as a team. So it's going to be harder than doing 9 to 5, actually. So I think the first step is, like, if you're doing something you don't like, try to upper your skill and try to explore all the information and the source and network you have, and then consider about having a stable online income, and then you get to travel around. But it's pretty hard, and I don't think like living by the beach every day is so chill and relaxing, but it's a lot of hard work. Even in here, like everyone works over 10 hours a day. That's the normal routine. So yeah, I just want to tell people that being a digital nomad means that you are elite at what you're doing. Yeah,
that makes sense. All right, thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I have my Instagram account as Stella Language Lover.
All right, and maybe in China, where can they find you?
I have Xiaohongshu, which is Stella Daila, that one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You did good.
I would say don't wait until you're ready. Because I don't think we feel totally ready to start. And remember that it is accessible to you and to anyone who really wants it. I mean, you don't need special skills. You don't need a specific job. You just need to be able to find a job that allows you to work remotely, and the rest you can figure out. You can figure out where you're going to work, how you're going to meet people, how your clients are going to deal with the fact that you're working abroad. That's things you can figure out. So I think it's good to take time to prepare your project, but don't wait too much. And as soon as you have a remote job, and just do it. Just jump and do it. Yeah, don't wait too much. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. That was good. That was super inspiring.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if you're already working for someone, I would advise you to just build trust with a company, show that you can get your work done without people supervising you and managing you. You got to show that you're conscientious and hardworking, and the quality of work doesn't require a whole lot of like revisions and supervision. So if you go somewhere, your manager or the owner wouldn't be worried that you'll be slacking and like not doing your part. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, if you're not working for a company, you're looking for a remote job, you should look into skills that would allow you to do that. Build, I don't know. Marketing, sales, become a developer, sales. You can be an influencer and whatever. But I feel like a lot of jobs, especially office jobs, can be done remotely nowadays. Obviously, not everyone will want to do that lifestyle because it's not easy. There are a lot of challenges. People always think it's like, oh, you just like work on a laptop from a beach. No, it's that's not always the case. It's like you have to look for good Wi-Fi. You have to make sure you have a comfortable setting. You have to make sure your vaccinations are up to date. Travel visas, comes with a ton of different challenges.
Yeah. So where can people find you if they want to stay in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram, Soviet_yogi, even though I don't do yoga anymore, so I might be rebranding soon. LinkedIn, Boris Kolev.
Thank you, man. That was good.
Thank you.